Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines with Living the One Light. All right, I'm super excited to do this video for you today. I'm going to be talking about the full moon happening next Monday or Tuesday, depending on where you are in the world, October 6th or 7th, 2025. It's going to be a full moon at 14 degrees of Aries. And there are so many layers to this full moon that, yeah, that like on the one hand, there's kind of the stereotypical thinking of a full moon in Aries, which I'll touch on. But then when you look a little deeper, the layers of what's going on during this time is like, wow. Um, so much I want to say. And I just came out of the first gathering that I held for this how to channel course that I'm holding, where I channeled a light activation that I realized is after I came out of it and I was about to sit down to record this for you, I realized, wow, it's so relevant to this full moon. Yeah, amazing. So I'll explain why. We were we were we were carried on the backs of unicorns, and yeah, this whole magical thing. So I'll tell you about that. And it's just like weirdly perfect for this full moon. Uh, I was not aware, didn't think about that until 2 seconds ago, and wow, very cool. So yes, and if you still would like to join the channeling course, it's still open. It's actually open forever. You can join it anytime. It's all live, but also recorded and will be relevant anytime you feel called to it. So I'll put the link here if you want to join in. Yeah, okay. So many things. Like if you think about a full moon in Aries, would you immediately think of flying on the back of a unicorn or a Pegasus, as I'm about to get to? No, I wouldn't, right? But yes, that's what we just did. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. It's so fun. Okay, so I'm first going to show you the actual chart of the full moon. Then I'm going to show you in the sky where various beings will be. And then I'll explain the whole unicorn Pegasus thing. And then, yeah, and then I'll give you some more of my feelings about this time. But actually, before I do that, I want to ground us in the reality that this full moon is actually the full moon coming right after the solar eclipse, right? So we just had a solar eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo. Very, very powerful eclipse season we just had. And so this lunar cycle that we're currently in that culminates at that full moon started, the seed point of it was the solar eclipse. So it's really important to remember as we're then coming in, the moon is building, it's moving in its journey around the earth. And from our point of view, it was between us and the sun at the time of that solar eclipse, that new moon. And now when you see it in the evening sky, you can see that now it's a quarter moon, actually, as I'm recording this, because I'm recording this on Wednesday, October 1st. And yeah, we've already actually crossed the halfway point. So it's actually, yeah, it's waxing, right? It's going to be getting bigger and bigger, or our perception of it. So, yeah, so I want to just root in the fact that this full moon is very connected to that seed point of the solar eclipse. Okay, so I'll come back to that in a second. But let me just show you the chart of the full moon first, and then we'll get into these exciting things. All right, so here's the chart. So the moon itself will be at 14 degrees 8 minutes of Aries, the sun at 14 degrees 8 minutes of Libra. The full moon will be exact on the evening of October 6, 2025, 8:47 p.m. Pacific time, which is, just before midnight Eastern time, but is for most of the world actually October 7th, Tuesday. And yeah, but what I want to point out is, among other things, this is a very, very, very powerful full moon. So if we were just to look at the kind of the basics of the astrology, you know, you would think, okay, this is a full moon in Aries, so already that's very powerful. The ruler of Aries, Mars, is in Scorpio. So again, very powerful, very much about power. Okay, right. If I were just to analyze this, just kind of typical astrology analysis, we also had like that day or with probably 24 hours, within 24 hours before the full moon, Mercury will also be entering Scorpio, where it's about to go retrograde. We're going to have a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio coming up. So this whole Scorpio theme is quite strong. I mean, we're coming toward next season. Next month will be Scorpio season. So of course that doesn't surprise us, but just there's a lot of the Scorpio energy, including the fact that Mars is in Scorpio, ruling, or the wisdom keeper of the moon itself on a full moon in Aries. Okay, so we got this like deep, very powerful energy. Okay, so that's there. But then we add in some pretty key players. So near the full moon, if we were to think of everything on the ecliptic plane, which these beings are not, but I'll show you where they are in the sky, the moon is quote unquote going to be conjunct Leleakuhonua, who is an Oort cloud being, and Salacia, who is a Kuiper belt being. And then not too far from the moon also are Chiron and Eris. Okay, so this is a big, beautiful, powerful, very multi-layered lineup of beings in Aries. And then we also even have Ceres over here, and then we have Neptune, which is at 0 degrees of Aries, about to re-enter Pisces, etc. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot. I could focus on so many different things, but I'm feeling particularly called to talk about this group right here: the Chiron, Eris, Moon, Leleakuhonua, and Salacia. And then the fact, you know, Mars is going to be the ruler of all that in Scorpio, and Mercury is entering Scorpio, and we're about to have a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, so there's a lot of the Scorpio energy happening as well. And actually, at the time of the full moon, Mercury at 0 degrees, almost 1 degree of Scorpio, is pretty much almost exactly squaring Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, or one of the rulers of Scorpio, right? Mars being the other one. So this is like a very, very, very Plutonian, scorpionic full moon in Aries. Okay, lots of power energy. Okay, but then I want to show you where the magic comes in, because now let me show you this everything in the sky. So here is Stellarium, which again, if you're not familiar, is a free website. You can go and look up any day, anytime you want. You can look up your birth time. I do that a lot with people in my courses, and I did that for myself the other day. I don't know why I've never done it for myself until the other day. I've done it for other people for so long, and anyway, it's a really, really beautiful thing to do if you feel called to do that. Totally free, stellarium-web.org. Okay. All right, so I have pulled up the date of and the time-ish of the full moon. So I'm going to show you first where the moon is going to be. It's right here. So the moon again is 14 degrees of Aries. It's in the constellation of the Fish or Pisces, and right between the constellation of Pegasus and Cetus the Whale. Cetus the Whale being south of the ecliptic, Pegasus being north of the ecliptic. And then I want to show you. Okay, so on the chart, it looks like the moon is quote unquote conjunct Leleakuhonua and Salacia. But take a look. Salacia is a Kuiper belt being. Talk about her a little more in a second. She's actually way up here. The Kuiper belt beings and the Oort cloud beings, almost all of them, are their orbit around the sun is very tilted compared to the plane of the ecliptic. So their orbit is at a tilted angle compared to where most of the planets tend to move around the sun, and including the Earth. And so, yeah, it just, yeah, anyway, they do their own thing kind of. And Salacia is one of those that's at a very tilted angle as it goes around the sun compared to how the Earth moves around the sun. So from our point of view, Salacia is actually not down here right with the moon. She's actually quite north of the moon, but up here in the very magical, amazing constellation of Pegasus. And Leleakuhonua doesn't show up on this program, unfortunately. I'm sad. It doesn't, but it doesn't. It's an Oort cloud being relatively recently discovered, so or quote unquote discovered by astronomers. I'm going to talk about that in a second a little more, but I know from having looked into it, Leleakuhonua also is from our perspective, in the constellation of Pegasus. Okay, so these two beings who are nearish the moon on this full moon are in if they were down here on this red line, the ecliptic, they would be in the sign of Aries, but they're actually up here and they're in the constellation of Pegasus, kind of getting close to the point actually where Pegasus and Andromeda meet. So the constellation of Pegasus and Andromeda share one star, this star, Alpheratz, and actually Salacia is very, very, very near that star. Okay, that would be like a whole other thing. You could go down that rabbit hole if you want to and share with us what comes alive for you with Alpheratz, but I'm not going to personally go there right this second. What I mainly am focusing on is the fact that they're in Pegasus. Okay. Then I was also showing you that not quite as close, but not too far from the full moon, also are Chiron, which is currently closer to the ecliptic plane. So it's here also in the Fish or Pisces constellation, even though it's at 25 degrees of Aries. And then Eris Xena, which astronomers call Eris, but originally was called Xena, is actually south of the ecliptic plane. So Eris Xena is also, like Salacia, is one of the Kuiper belt beings. And so again, it has this very ecliptic, tilted, my goodness, orbit. Has a very tilted orbit compared to the ecliptic plane. And so from our point of view, Eris Xena is down south of the ecliptic in Cetus the whale. Okay, so the Cetus the whale is, an energetic coming through here, and then also big, big, big time Pegasus, right? Yeah, I think those were the things I wanted to show you in terms of Stellarium. Okay, so now here's what I want to talk about with all of that. So, okay. It's like so many thoughts. Okay, so here's what's so powerful for me about this full moon and about this time in general. We just had this eclipse season. It was so powerful. I can speak for myself. It was life-changing for me. It also fell on my chart in a very powerful way. Okay. But I witnessed a lot of you who did the eclipse journey with me, and even those of you who didn't, I'm just witnessing these very powerful, life-changing moments that a lot of us are in. And some people are just struggling, and like, if you're feeling like you're just flailing and you don't resonate with what I'm about to say, so that's great. And there's no better or worse than, right? At all. So I don't want anybody to feel bad in any way from what I'm about to say. And I want to acknowledge how powerfully I am witnessing so many of you making major life changes. And I mentioned that, Julia Blaz, in the Soul Wisdom Circle that I just was with, I just put up on Monday. On Monday, a group of us, who do the Soul Wisdom Circles gathered again, and so go watch that if you haven't yet. It was very, very moving and beautiful for me. Anyway, so in that circle, Julia mentioned that she's really wanting to acknowledge how much so many of us really are making really, radical shifts in our lives and ourselves and all of that. And I said, yes, because I'm seeing that in so many of you. Right. So the big theme that I felt alive in that eclipse season, and I see it in the eclipse season coming up next eclipse season, so February and March of 2026, because those eclipses are going to be exactly flipped this past eclipse season we just had. So the themes are continuing. So we're still held very powerfully in those themes. The theme I'm really seeing and feeling in myself and seeing and witnessing in so many of you is the opportunity and the calling for us to radically, fully drop in and completely embody who we are, incarnate into ourself. I also talked about this in the conversation I just had with Keone, which again, I also highly recommend. I loved that one too. It's like so many amazing beings. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, he had amazing insights. His work is, he's doing a lot of work about incarnation and yeah. Okay, so there's a lot there. Go and watch Keone if you haven't yet. But yeah, so in that eclipse journey and in the videos I did for the eclipse season here on the YouTube channel as well, they were my guides were very adamant about holding the space for us to land all the way in our body. Maybe for the first time in this lifetime or any lifetime, I can say for myself, I think probably any lifetime. And to release any and all fears or patterning that, is anything other than the landing fully. Okay. So remember, this full moon that we're coming up to is the culmination of the lunar cycle that started at the solar eclipse, which was 29 degrees of Virgo. So again, this powerful grounding into fully becoming the complete essence of our own soul, our totality of our being, landing in our body all the way, incarnating completely, right? And then how perfect is it that the full moon is in Aries immediately after that? Because Aries is, again, stereotypically about I am. So perfect. So perfect. Okay. And the Mars then being the wisdom keeper of Aries being in Scorpio, there's many layers I can feel in that. But one of the many layers I feel there is an opportunity for us to take radical responsibility for naming, seeing, knowing patterns. Again, that it's like, okay, if we fully now embody ourselves, boom, here I am. Here's the power of me. Here's the truth of me. Here's the essence of me. This is me right here. All of me right here. What I'm noticing in myself is that as I fully embody me, and again, I'm doing this along with you. Okay. I'm human, right? Like this is, I'm not above or beyond you, right? We're all doing this at the same time. As I'm in my own process of that, I'm recognizing it's like things are rising in myself, in my system, where the more and more my essence and my soul and my being are fully here, I realize, wow, oh, like I've done a huge amount of work releasing old patterning, patterns of fear and all of it, previous lifetime, many lifetimes of XYZ things, dynamics. I've really done, I mean, truly very powerful work around that personally in the last several weeks. And now it's like, okay, I've landed. And then the being that is me, like that full essence that is me, suddenly is becoming my teacher in a sense, right? It's like she's going, oh, okay, I'm fully here. Why are you doing that? Why are you why did you just say that? Why? Huh. You know, in a loving way, but in this like, it's like I'm suddenly seeing things very differently. And I'm suddenly recognizing certain dynamics or relationship things or um yeah, I'm coming into my body in a whole different way. And so certain ways I've been behaving, choices I've made or whatever it is, even I mean subtle big things, but really also even very, very subtle things, suddenly I'm realizing don't resonate, actually never have, or maybe have in some way, but it's like I'm coming into this place in myself where it's like I want a certain kind of radical honesty with myself. And so that is so perfect for the fact that we're now coming up to a full moon in Aries, followed by an amazing new moon in Libra, which is a whole other topic. But Aries and Libra are all about the dance of self and other, right? Aries self, Libra other, but like really the balance between the two. It's not one or the other. It's like, how do we land fully as us, Aries, get super clear about our own needs, our own truth, our own self, stay grounded right here in who I am, Aries, and be aware of, be in really honoring, relating with the other, but also ourself. Okay, so we're gonna get to the other at the time of that new moon, right? Well, we'll come back around to that. But what I would really encourage us to be doing between now and like in this particular lunar cycle, um, as it'll culminate as that at that full moon, and then the moon will wane, and then we'll make our way to the new moon, which will be at 28 degrees of Libra, and that's an amazing new moon. And it's like I talked about it actually a little bit in the video where I channeled the comets and three eye atlas, which also I recommend if you haven't listened to yet, because that at that new moon, which will be on October 21st, 2025, the three eye atlas will be in its superior conjunction with the sun. And between now and then, three eye atlas is flying past Mars, then Venus, then we'll be coming to the superior conjunction with the sun, which is amazing because there are so many themes in that whole lead up. And then the new moon itself, again, which I'll talk about way more when I do a video on the new moon, probably next week, about the opportunity for us to really be coming into healing relationship between the masculine and the feminine and all of it within ourselves, with each other, so many things. Okay. So that energy is absolutely making its way here, literally. But in the meantime, what I would do, whatever feels right for you. I mean, truly, what I would encourage us to be doing is just pause for a moment. Let ourselves be selfish for a minute, because again, that's Aries. Aries in its healthiest form is a very healthy form of selfishness. Which most of us, if you're listening to this video, more likely than not, you're a highly, highly, highly empathetic, giving, nurturing type of person. Most of you that I know who are in this community, that would be your default, right? Is to be a giver. That's definitely true for me. So I think for most of us, we don't need to worry about erring on the side of being like narcissistic or overly selfish. If anything else, we've been too much the other direction. So what I would really, really, really encourage us to be doing in this coming 2-3 weeks, as we move eventually to that new moon in Libra, but we have this full moon in Aries, is focus on you, focus on the me, right? So if you've been doing that powerful work of the eclipses, but even if you haven't, like, again, that energy is still there supporting us. We're dropping into the totality of me, incarnated. That's actually a very Aries thing too. Incarnated completely and fully to the greatest extent maybe we've ever done, ever, in any human lifetime ever. That's true for me, I would say, from what I can remember of my lives. So, yes, and to really do this to the max. But here comes the magic, okay? So it's not just like Aries as in fighting, as in anger, as in the intensity of Aries. I mean, that could be a part of it, and those can be tools. And I'm going to talk about that when we talk about Chiron and Eris Xena in a second. But what I want to speak to first is the fact that this moon is going to be, as I showed you, it's going to be under where it's going to be in the sign of Aries, but in the constellation of Pisces or the fish, which is between the constellation of Pegasus, which is where Leleakuhonua is, and Salacia. And then not too far, also near the ecliptic, is Chiron. And then south of the ecliptic is Eris in Cetus the whale constellation. Okay. So when we bring in Salacia and Leleakuhonua in Pegasus, here's where magic wakes up in me. I mean, everything's magic, but this was what was so amazing and fun in the channeling journey this morning. So, which again, you can join anytime you want if you feel called to join that. Okay, so when I channeled today for that first gathering of the how to channel journey, the how to channel journey is about how to channel, but really what's coming alive, what I recognized this morning in my praying as I was preparing to channel for that group, what my guides are saying and what the spirit world is saying so loud and clear is that yes, it's about how to channel, quote unquote, but really what this is about is that this time is so powerful as we land fully incarnate in our body. We're landing in the reality that we are beings of Gaia, we are beings of Earth, we are beings of the cosmos, we are beings of light, and what they were doing today is they were holding our body, our being in this orb of light, and they were helping our you could call it the spindles of light is what they were calling the spindles of light in our energy system, which have perhaps been dormant, which is, what I get shown and what they were saying is for most humans, they have been dormant in the time of great forgetting. But those spindles of light are really the components of our energy system that when they come fully back online and become like a tent through our body, through our energy system, that's the part of our system then that is the conduit of the divine, literally, and then can channel or be clairvoyant or clairaudient or whatever the clairs are, as we just naturally are that, just like a crystal is. But here's what was so fun about it for me. So cool. Like an extra amazingness of it. What happened when I channeled was, and again, I was not thinking about this full moon at all. Like I was channeling. Here's what showed up. An entire group of light beings, primarily unicorns and Pegasi. Yeah, how perfect. So what they did is they kind of swooped into Earth, and they were equating themselves with these comets and the three-eye atlas, and they're like, yeah, we're kind of like the energies of all of them, swarming in, right? And there was like one assigned to each of us, so to each person joining the group. And you could do this on your own, actually, if you feel called to just kind of even be with this in your own way. Feel these unicorns or these Pegasi swooping down, or maybe it's a comet that comes and swoops down for you, whatever. Some they called themselves light being companions. So there's like a very specific light being companion that came and basically invited each of us to be taken up by our hand, and then we were sitting then on the back of the unicorn or the whatever it is, and this light being companion then swooped us up all the way through the time-space continuum, out of the membrane of the time-space continuum, into the void, and we all created this massive circle in the void together. Oh my goodness, I'm getting chills. Yeah. So we created this circle with all of our light being companions, creating a massive, massive, massive circle of light surrounding us. And we were invited, then the human us, the beings of us, to come into the center of the circle. And then these unicorns or light, if they weren't unicorns, you know, we were told like they have a wand, like a light wand or some kind of thing of light, like a staff of light or whatever it is. And all of them, the unicorns with their horns, or the other light companion beings with their wands or whatever, we were all in the center of the circle, and they then, on the count of three, went 1, 2, 3, and they went boop and put all their horns and their wands together in the center of the circle over the top of us and did this powerful light activation, creating like an orb of light through the whole, for all of us collectively, and that includes you. I mean, even if you weren't there, like, right, I'm describing this partly to so you can be part of the energetic of it in your own way. And you know, join if you want it to be like really, really, really fully powerful there for you. But you can even just tap into the energy, the energetic of it in your own way, like this. And then that light orb over the whole group was also then over each of us individually. And then what it's doing is it's holding space for the light itself, like the light orb itself is this powerful holding space of the light codes of our own being, really like holding steady, so that then the light codes of those spindles of light of our energy system can go boom right back into place, right? If they've been dormant, which they have been for, again, what I'm showing is most humans, now it's time. Like now it's time for us to go boop. And for the energy structure of our light code being to come fully back, so to wake back up. And it knows, like what they're describing, the light being and light structure of ourselves, those light rods or filaments, they know exactly what to do. They're programmed, they're designed exactly for this. Just like, you know, it's the analogy that the guides were using is like a flower. There's no efforting needed, right? Like a flower with sunlight. Same. Okay, so long story short, Pegasus, Salacia, and Leleakuhonua in Pegasus. Same. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. So, on a brief level, Salacia, again, a Kuiper Belt being, is the wife of Neptune. And or Poseidon, right? And she is associated, again, I'm giving the super brief version, but she's associated with the shimmering of the sea, or that's how I feel her, is like associated with the crystalline, the light codes of the crystalline structures of like salt in the oceans. So ourselves as earth and light in crystalline form in the light codes that we are. I mean, it's like exactly what was happening in that channeling. It's that. And she's in Pegasus. I didn't even know that until just before I was recording this. I thought she was actually near the ecliptic before I went to record this video with you. So actually, when I was channeling that, I didn't even know she's actually, no, she's up north of the ecliptic. She's in Pegasus. And when I saw that, you know, an hour ago, I went, what? Oh my goodness. Amazing. Okay. So, and then Leleakuhonua. I want to talk just briefly about that. So for those of you who are not aware, a year and a half ago-ish, I held a free event on Leleakuhonua, who is an Oort cloud being, so farther out than the Kuiper Belt, really, really far away. has an orbit. Leleakuhonua is out near-ish, kind of not really, but sort of in the vicinity of Sedna, right? Sedna is also an Oort cloud being. So Leleakuhonua is only two, there are a total of, I think, 3 now Oort cloud beings with names-ish, but Sedna and Leleakuhonua are the 2 with like real names. The other one is named Biden after President Biden. Anyway, yeah. So so I held this free event, which was I held when I had an old website, and I now have this new website, and I just the other day put this whole free course that you can sign up for about Leleakuhonua on my actual now website. It's there. Just go to livingtheonelight.com and you can sign up. And what the course does, it takes you through a whole journey of learning about the name Leleakuhonua, which is a Hawaiian name. There's some words in there from Keone, so sweet and beautiful, and then learning about what is it referring to? It's referring to qualities of the flight of the Kolea plover bird. So it's the multi-layered kind of immersive experience, in this free course. But the real point of the course is that what I'm really feeling called to do over time, and I'm going to tell you something super exciting coming up in February. Regarding this, is I'm really feeling called to hold space for the Kuiper Belt beings and the Oort cloud beings in the way that I did it essentially for Leleakuhonua a year and a half ago, where we come into co-presencing, deep presencing and co-remembering of the being. So I'm actually, just FYI, save the date, I'm going to be holding a free event about Haumea with Keone and Julia Balaz on February 2nd, 2026, 10 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, so put that on your calendar. I haven't put it, I mean, that's, a few months away, so I haven't put that up yet. I'm also holding a free event, if you haven't signed up yet, on December 5th, which is ready for you to sign up for. I'll put that link here. That's also super exciting. Julia will also be part of that. That's also going to be Kelly Kolodny, David Clements, and John Ryan, and me. So that's yeah, I cannot wait for both of those. They're both free. Please join us. And yeah, but more on the December 5th one later, but to sign up because it's exciting. But the February 2nd Haumea one, what I'm hoping to do over time, and I'll be saying more about this in coming up videos, really feeling a calling to hold space for these Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud beings in a way that is deeply honoring of the beings themselves, of ourself, the reality that we each have an ancient and sacred relationship with them, and our own wisdom is very, very needed, every single one of us, and a deep honoring and presencing with people who are of the culture and the language that the names of these beings are given. So like, for example, Haumea and Leleakuhonua are both beings with Hawaiian names. They were named by Hawaiian astronomers, which is beautiful, right? And so I invited Keone to host this one on Haumea with me on February 2nd, because it's really, really, really important to me that as we come back into relationship with these Kuiper Belt and Oort cloud beings who now are being given names of many, many indigenous cultures around the world, that we deeply listen to and honor the people of those cultures as we try to understand maybe who these beings are and all of that, right? So that's my intention. And yeah, so I'm going to be holding the first of hopefully several over time, these free gatherings for co-presencing, co-remembering these beings. So the first one will be on Haumea, February 2nd. But a year and a half ago, I held one that was kind of like working my way into doing that. That's now available on my website for Leleakuhonua. So I highly, highly, highly recommend signing up for that if you want to learn more about Leleakuhonua, if you want to, I take you through a guided channeled journey to be with Leleakuhonua. We hear in there is, you know, Keone's voice, although in the Haumea one, there'll be much more, he'll be literally there co-hosting it with me. And maybe we'll do one in the future with Leleakuhonua too. Yeah, anyway, but yeah, so what I feel with the Leleakuhonua is, it's like I don't really want to label her too much, or it or him, or especially because, well, first of all, it's you know, brand new to the consciousness of astronomers, at least. But also because Leleakuhonua, again, is a part of the Oort cloud, so she has an orbit 3 times longer than Sedna's, 36,000 years orbit. And so we don't have a relationship to this being like a planet, in my opinion. And so yeah, it's just like I feel personally, I feel her energy really just like a space holder of our whole solar system. um and but from our point of view, she is in the constellation of Pegasus right now, and so adding maybe to this magical feeling, and unicorns taking us up to activate our light being. But yeah, I don't know. You tell us, like, go and sign up for the free Leleakuhonua journey, and yeah, feel it. Come back and share with us what's alive there. And I feel like, you know, over time, again, part of my intention in the work I do is that I want to hold space for the Oort cloud beings and the Kuiper belt beings, for us to really come into a deep, slow way of being with them, really deeply honoring them, and getting to know them slowly over time, and not like just sort of deciding what their meaning is. And then, yeah, so it's very, very important for me to be holding that in a really tender, conscious way, which actually is very related to this full moon, right? Again, that coming into like being selfish for a minute, like really getting to know ourselves, deeply honoring ourselves. And then when we give that to ourselves, that becomes a tool that we can, when we hold ourselves that way, it becomes much more natural and automatic to then be in relating with humans, with Kuiper belt beings, with anything, with the earth, with anything, in a way that's equally deeply honoring, right? Um, yeah, and again, that comes more to the new moon in Libra energy, so maybe I'll table that a little more for then, but I'll just say, I'll say briefly here that that whole set of skills of how to be in relationship in a really, really healthy way is not modeled for us. It's just not, at least in the big scheme of the world, right? And this comes back to what a radical, crucial act it is for us to be doing this deep, powerful, inner work. Because how do I say this? Like, I'm recognizing, okay, so I've been having, I would say, these very beautiful, slow, deep, what I experience as deeply honoring and deep listening kind of ways of relating with especially 3 people, which again, you know, it's more related maybe to the new moon, but it's very relevant to this full moon too. So you probably witnessed this in my interactions with Keone, Ari Moshe Wolf, and Chris Skidmore. The 3 of them in my life right now are each beings who are very attuned, each in their own ways, and they're trying so hard to be very conscious, right? And I think that comes through in the videos that we do, and people comment on that. Is, you know, in the one with Keone recently, right? One of you said, "Wow, I wish I had someone call me sister the way that Keone speaks to me." And I said, "Yeah, yes, I wish that for all of us." I mean, it's so healing the way that he does that, for not just for me, but just for people in general. And it really, what I experience in all three of them, and then in myself, is this so rare. It's so rare, but we all can do this, right? And this is what I really want to encourage us all to be doing, because we can practice that here in this community, with each other, with just in ourselves. It's like breaking structures of relating that have been much more adversarial, much more about, oh, I don't agree with you on this, so therefore I'm just going to kind of leave, or whatever it is. But real, like this, coming into this place of deep, powerful love that is so, it's like the way I feel it is when I come into my own self more and more and more, and the more powerfully I feel the love of myself come into my own heart and my own being, like I fall back in love with me even so powerfully, which is a big part of what I've been experiencing in this eclipse time, so powerfully, then my ability to be present and truly, truly care about, and as much as humanly possible, really, really hear where the other person is coming from. Again, this comes back to Libra, but it's the healthy dance of Aries and Libra, right? And to be doing this in all kinds of relating, all kinds of relationships, like even just friendships, right? Like with the three of them, for example, in my own life, is this such a gift with each of the three of them, this conscious working on relating in a way that, what I experienced with all three of them, very honoring of their own needs, clear about, what is working and what isn't, what they feel and don't. Like you can just see that in the videos, right? That it's like they have their own truth about their self, and yet they're not, my experience is they're not being selfish about it. They're also deeply hearing me, or trying to really be present with me too. And like, go and watch the video with Cami. That's how I experience him. Um, and so it frees, that frees each of us up to be completely Aries in this most magical, powerful way, right? The Salacia crystalline light being that is fully, fully me, the truth of me landing in my body in all of my power, but not needing to like be in my power in the sense of like blowing up at somebody, just landing, and just like the truth of me being right here. And then, because I'm deeply now, in love with me, like powerfully, I got a thumbs up. Yeah, I'm feeling that love in my own heart. I'm really being that love for myself. And then, a being like, let's say Keone comes into my space and we're having this conversation on YouTube, and I have this personal experience and he has this other personal experience, and they have certain overlaps, but certain differences. Then when I'm noticing there are differences, the love that is me, the heart that is me, the being, the crystalline light code being that is me, my response to feeling and seeing, witnessing the differences, let's say in Keone, is like, I go, oh, how beautiful, right? The exquisiteness of me recognizes the exquisiteness of him. So like, let's say I'm a crystalline being and he's a crystalline being. I don't need him to be the same as me. I don't need him to agree on everything. That wouldn't, two crystals aren't going to be identical almost ever. And I can just go, wow, you're so beautiful. You're different from me, and you're so beautiful, and I'm beautiful. Like, we can both be beautiful and different, and we can feel like the true essence of our divinity and the power of divine love relating, right? Get it? Yeah, that's what I feel. Anyway, it's like gonna make me cry. Really, it's so so good. Um, Yeah. So to sum it up, I would say to me, the essence of this, the full moon and the possibility here is to fully embody ourselves, incarnate right here, and just take the next 2 or 3 weeks to be selfish, but not selfish. Again, it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Selfish in the sense of, whoa, like fall back in love with you and become that crystalline being that is you, and the Salacia and the Leleakuhonua, maybe holding all of us in it. Um, and I'll come to Chiron and Eris, Xena in 1 second. I'm just going to tag them on in a second for, yeah. But then if we do that work of like really honing our own powerful, deep love for ourselves, and in that, feeling, okay, here are my needs, here's the truth of the crystalline being that is me. Then when we come around to the Libra energy, which is also very, very strong right now, we have Mercury in Libra, we have a lot. Venus is currently in Virgo, but will be entering Libra. And then we're gonna have a new moon in Libra, right? The Libra energy is incredibly important. We need to eventually move to the Libra and do Libra and Aries together, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I would really, really, really encourage us, do whatever feels right, but to use this time to just be like, oh, I'm so in love with me. And here's the crystalline truth of the being of me. And give ourselves time, give ourselves permission to just hone that crystalline light being that is you, the truth of you, um, the tender truth of you, the real truth of you, right? Because it's really hard. One of the downsides of Libra energy, if you haven't done that really powerful Aries work, you can go to the Libra and you can not know what you need. And then if you go to the Libra kind of prematurely, you can become very passive aggressive. You can be like, but I didn't get my needs met. And then the Aries will go, but you didn't name your needs. So I have my Venus in Aries, and often when I relate to somebody, especially on like an intimate level, who has, let's say, Venus or very strong Libra energy, that's I'm often the Aries person going like the Libra kind of out of balance, not super self-aware Libra energy can very easily say, like, be going along, fine, 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 and then suddenly blow up and go, oh my God, my needs aren't getting met. And then the Aries Venus in me goes, but you never said what you wanted. I would have been completely great with you getting what you needed, but I needed to know what you right? And then they go, oh, yeah, I didn't even know what I needed. And I'm like, yeah, so don't project that on me. Yeah, so that's a very classic Aries Libra kind of more out of balance or more unconscious dynamic, right? So we don't want to do that. So let's really hone this healthy, healthy, magical Aries time, which we are in. Okay, and then really, 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 really quickly, gonna add in Chiron and Eris. Yeah. And I'm not going to dwell on it because I'm just not being very pulled to it. But what I will say, so Eris is quote unquote conjunct Chiron, and both at about 25-ish degrees of Aries. And Eris, in the south of the ecliptic, in Cetus the whale, and then Chiron basically on the ecliptic. I got another thumbs up. And so what I would say with that is that those energies for sure, of course, bring in more of a well, Chiron brings in like a healing and can bring in like a pain point kind of energy. It can help us unearth wounds maybe that haven't quite healed yet, and so it can feel painful. It can point to the areas that we maybe need to still keep sitting with or holding or being present with. And then the Eris in Cetus the whale, absolutely, of course, can be bringing in the power of the dark feminine, the power of the sacred rage that might arise in us. So as we're in this energy, these very, very powerful energies of a full moon in Aries, ruled by Mars in Scorpio, definitely, for sure, especially if we're not conscious, if we're not doing this consciously, there could be kind of like an out of balance version of those energies could easily be blowing up at somebody, or just like rage that just like could get out of control or whatever. We don't want to do that either, right? So part of what I think is really important with those energies is those are gifts of remembering the wisdom of all of our emotions, including anger, rage, jealousy, hurt, pain, uh, etc. Right? So if we have been in the time of great forgetting where we've kind of stuffed down our true self, well, guess what? Probably, not surprisingly, probably, I guess, for most of us, if not all of us, there have been emotions that or needs that we've stuffed down, and that's going to come out in some way. So sometimes that might come up as anger, or come up as whatever it is, jealous feelings or whatever. And yet those feelings are gifts. Those feelings are important. They are wisdom. They are information. And so I think that we can remember that those are here for a reason, and they don't need to go out of control for us to hear them, right? It's kind of like a baby, as a therapist. I mean, I am a mom. I had two babies myself, but also I worked with a lot of parents of babies and small children. Anyway, and one of the things we know about kids and babies is they will scream as loud as they think they need to, in a sense. I mean, that's not always true, but um if you learn to attune to the baby, I don't want to give this a blanket rule. Sometimes some babies just cry a lot and cry really loudly. Okay, so there's nothing you can kind of do about it. But in general, in general, usually, um, if you learn to meet the need of the baby more quickly, right? If you hear the subtleties of their cues, and you respond to the subtle cues, then they sometimes, often, won't need to like scream so loudly. Okay, anyway, maybe not a great analogy because it's not always true. But in the case of ourselves, we're adults, and yeah, and that anger will give us more subtle cues. And so if we learn to hear it, to feel it quickly, and honor it, then it won't need to go out of control and get into the rage state. Uh, right, because the power of who we are is also just needed to be here, and it hasn't been allowed to be here. And part of the power of us is being the full power of us, which sometimes might appear as, yeah, anger or whatever that is. Okay. So, yeah, there's so much more there, but just for the sake of right now, I think I'll just leave it right there. I think you get the point. So, yeah. So overall, I think this is really, really exciting. And again, I would love for us to all do this together, right? In whatever way feels right for you. But um, please share here on the comments, whatever's coming alive for you. Please share in the free Living the One Light community. You can download the free app or access it through my website for free, livingtheonelight.com. Share in the community. Yeah, how does this feel? What comes up for you in this video? But then also, over the next few weeks, like, let's cheer each other on to be selfish in a good way, seriously, because we're not trained to do that. And we're not supported to do that. And we're doing this together. This is radical, revolutionary action that we're taking. I mean, imagine that if we all could hone the skill. I mean, seriously, think about this. What if we all suddenly had this, we just go wave a magic wand, and we all had the skill of knowing what it is to be in deep, powerful, healthy relating, of knowing and honoring our own needs completely and fully, and being able to deeply, deeply, deeply hear, listen, witness, and honor and love ourselves and the other person, right? Like I was saying, like Keone and me, like both like crystals, just witnessing each other and not needing to be the same, and yet being able to have this amazing dialogue, this conversation that you all got, on the YouTube video, my opinion at least. It was so, so beautiful and honoring. That's how I felt, at least, right? Yeah, I think that's I mean, literally a world-changing skill. What if we just could all do that? So we are right now. We're learning it right now. I'm learning it along with you. Yeah, just like at higher and higher and higher levels over time, right? Kind of we're all continually evolving and growing and changing, and yeah. So those are my feelings and thoughts about this full moon. Yeah, I would love to hear yours. And super exciting, such an amazing time we're in. Yeah, sign up for the free event on December 5th for sure, for sure, for sure. Join the free community, download the free Living the One Light app. If you want to still join in the channeling course, join in anytime. Our next gathering is next Thursday, October 9th, where we're going to be channeling through writing. Then the next week we'll be channeling through speaking, and then the week after that channeling through sound, song, and light language, etc. And yeah, super, super, all of it, super exciting and fun. Yeah, and more to come. I have things percolating for 2026 I'm really excited about, so more on that soon. Yeah, but just most of all, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. I would love, love, love that. And yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And thank you, truly, seriously, thank you for being you and for showing up in this way. We are changing the world together. This is how we do it, right? Like the new earth doesn't just happen to us. It's not a passive act. We're not here to have it just like wash over us. I mean, partly, but no, we're here to take action. Again, that's very full moon in Aries. We take action, we change, we radically shift even our own self. Um, it's a radical act of creating what we're here to be creating together. So yay, we're doing it. Okay. See you all soon. Thank you so much.